We should be live. All right. Guys, when you see me on the screen or you hear me, just throw some ones in the chat box. I just want to make sure that the stream is working as planned. And I'm sure, as you guys know, I'm in Florida, so I am on different internet and different computer than normal. Yeah, my internet is not liking this too much because we're on Skype.
Yeah.
So you may have to go on the live stream, John, and look at the questions.
Okay. It looks like I'm watching you, and it looks like it's okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see some questions coming in now. I see Vlad, Francos says, hey. Gaming with Nafiz says, hey. Okay, awesome. It looks like we're working. It's just very slow on my end. Awesome. So yeah, John, you might want to keep that live stream open and just like keep it paused.
Okay, yeah, I just muted it.
Okay, cool. I'm going to pause it quick. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll do some shout outs, guys. I see we got a lot of people in here. Bell Gang. Awesome. Appreciate you guys hopping in. So yeah, today we're going to be doing Q&A with me and John. I'm going to see if I can pop John on the screen here so you guys can see John too. There you go. So you should be seeing John as well. So as you guys know, John and I have been doing quite a few YouTube videos together. We've been talking about how to land clients, how to outsource your business, different Fiverr gigs that John's been using to work with clients, and it's been making him a bunch of money. So today, this is basically a live Q&A. I figured I would get John on here with me, and we're just going to be doing some questions about landing clients, making it more passive, because a lot of times when we think about landing clients, we think it's not very passive, but it can be, and outsourcing and all of that stuff. So if you guys don't have questions on the top of your head right now, try to think about them. I'll do a few more shout outs here. And smash a like on this video, guys, if you're excited for it. And if you do happen to stumble across this video, you're not already subscribed to the channel, or you're new, then do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and notification bell so that you get notified of all the new videos I release. And then you'll end up here on a live stream with us live one day, like everyone else. Hermit says, hey guys, hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on? David from Singapore. Skane says, shout me out. I've never been shouted out. Hey, what is up? You are shouted out now. All right, cool. So I think we're going to go ahead and get into things. So I'm Paul James. I've got with me John Shea.
How's it going, everybody?
And yeah, today we're going to be doing some Q&A here. We've got Q&A from some of our students as well, like common questions that come up about earning with getting clients, outsourcing, scaling your business. So we wanted to take time to do this, to actually answer those questions, and we're going to be taking some other questions here, all about basically scaling your business. So John, I'll let you start off with some of the ones that you have over there.
Yeah, so I've gotten a few questions as of recently that have come through email, and I thought I'd pick out some of the best ones that I could share, and we could, both just answer these here live for you guys. So this was a recent one I actually got just yesterday. A question that I got was, do people ever call you out for not being a developer? They said, I feel like an imposter not being a developer trying to sell websites. Do you clarify that you are building a WordPress website? So I guess I'll answer first, and then maybe Paul can add in his thoughts. My thinking around this was that, when I first got started, I would basically go out and I learned how to do WordPress, and I was never a developer. I was never really like a programming kind of guy. I even took a programming class in college and in high school, and it never really was a thing for me. So the biggest thing I figure was a lot of businesses, if they want a website, they don't really care whether or not you're a developer, right? If you can create a beautiful website with WordPress and they're happy with it, then they're not going to care whether or not you're a developer, right? As long as the end product and what you're able to deliver is what they wanted. The only time I really run into maybe minor issues is when someone wants something like kind of custom and the theme in WordPress you're working with doesn't exactly work the way you want it to. There may be things that need to be customized. And if that's ever happened to me, I would just go and hire someone on like Fiverr or maybe on Upwork that could actually go and implement that, and I would charge my customer to make those additional changes if it was something more complex.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, actually. I like that one. So yeah, I kind of am on the same page as you. I'm usually just kind of transparent with them, and I say, I actually know WordPress as well, and when I was first starting off, WordPress seemed like kind of a daunting thing to learn, but I found like kind of learning as you go, take on your first client and kind of figure it out along the way. You know, there's so many resources out there to actually figure it out, and it's not that bad. Like if you can type in Microsoft Word, you're going to be able to figure out how to use WordPress. But yeah, aside from that, I mean, I'm just totally transparent, and I'll say, you know, if this is something that is above the capabilities of what I could do, like if you need like crazy like coding, or you have like a very technologically advanced website, then we'll have to bring in someone from our team. So I kind of just phrase it that way. Like I don't really say anything about like outsourcing it or this or that. Like clients really don't care about that. You can just kind of say, you know, it kind of just depends what you need, and we may need to bring in someone more advanced from our team to do some more advanced programming for you, and just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take a look in the chat box here and see if there's any good questions in here for us to grab as well.
I see a good one here. Could you talk about the steps you take to get in contact with business owners to help with SEO and social media marketing? I currently cold call and visit in person, sometimes email.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I'll talk about kind of how I've done it. The first thing I did was I started with my local area, because a lot of people do tend to like to work with people that are, you know, local to you. I've just found that to be pretty common. The other thing that I do is kind of doing a combination of some of those things where I might just not be calling someone like completely cold, like that's never heard from me before. I might send them an email with a video kind of walking them through what's going on with their website, you know, maybe the good and the bad, like, hey, your phone number was really easy to find, but you don't have, you know, security stuff installed on your website. Like maybe they're missing an SSL certificate. So those are like little basic things that I could point out. And if I sent them a quick little video kind of, you know, introducing myself and saying, hey, I found some stuff I wanted to review with you, I could then send that off as an email and then maybe call them and say, hey, I sent you an email. Did you get that video I sent over? Did you have some time to take a look at that? You know, those are ways that you can kind of stand apart from a lot of the other emails that other marketers are sending out. And it just puts you in a good position to kind of start off. I actually kind of call that my pay it forward method. It's sort of, you know, putting yourself out there and helping them before you ask for anything in return.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so to add to that, I guess I would say follow-up is a big key for me. I notice like early on, like business owners don't always respond right away, even like especially if you're doing email, but even any type of contact. I read online that it's 7 follow-up attempts on average to actually get someone to respond back to your offer. So coming up with a good tripwire is a really good point, like John mentioned. Like that's important. But then you need to follow up on that. Like if you like make that like maybe little personalized video pointing something out, send it off and don't get discouraged like if they don't open it right away, or like maybe they open it and don't check it out. Start sending them reminders like, hey, did you get that video that I sent you? Or hey, did you have a chance to watch that video? And another thing you can do is you can add in like email tracking, like Yesware is a popular Chrome plugin that I use. It plugs right into your browser. And they have like a free like package where you can track, I think it's up to like 100 emails for free or something like that. But then you can actually watch and see when someone opens that email, and at that point you might decide that you're comfortable enough to jump on the phone with them, because at that point it's not like a really cold lead. Like they know who you are, you sent them an email, and now they're more familiar with you. So I would say just be persistent on your follow-up, and it is a numbers game at the end of the day, but I would keep your numbers lower and focus more on follow-up rather than like just emailing 100 people and hoping someone responds. Like maybe email 15 people consistently for 7 times, and I bet you'll have much better luck that way.
Yeah, I mean, I see people in some of the Facebook groups, they'll go off and say, hey, I sent 1,000 emails and nothing happened. And it's like, well, how many times did you follow up? And a lot of people are giving up. And if you kind of think about it, you know, like I personally get a lot of emails from students and people asking me questions, and I know you get the same. And sometimes I won't necessarily be able to like get back to them right away. And if they continuously follow up, people are asking about inquiries. Usually, sometimes is the second or third follow-up that I'll actually engage, because it's kind of like, oh, that got swept under the radar, or I was doing something else at the time. So when you follow up that second or third time, that might be the right opportunity to get someone's attention.
Yeah. I see another good question here that we could probably answer along with this one as a follow-up question. Someone says, like, what are some good qualifiers that you use if you're trying to land different types of products, like, or different types of clients? Like, is there the best candidates for your pitch, basically, so that you have the highest chance of closing them?
I'm trying to think on the best way to answer that one. I mean, for me, I think a lot of it kind of comes back to whether or not you're kind of niche down and who you're offering your services to. You know, the more I see people like spread themselves thin, I think that can become like a bigger problem if you're trying to say, you know, go build mobile apps and then at the same time do websites, SEO, and say Facebook ads. But really, it kind of comes down to positioning yourself in such a way that, you know, you're the go-to expert maybe in their space, and then at the same time, you have results for you know, getting them a specific result. Maybe that's, you know, getting them ranking higher on Google. Maybe that's, you know, getting them more results with Facebook ads. Whatever it is that you're offering as a service, you could kind of position yourself in a way that you're going to kind of stand out, and, you know, you're going to be able to charge a premium because you know their industry, and then you can also, you know, help them the best with what it is they're looking for.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it depends too. Like, that question would depend on what it is you're offering. You know, if it's social media marketing, if it's Facebook ads, if it's SEO. You know, none of them are really the wrong offering. It just depends on what it is you're doing. But let's just take SEO as an example. One of the qualifiers we might have, if we were specifically going after Google Maps clients, is that they're not in the 3-pack, because obviously, why would we work with them if they're already there? Like, they're not going to see much benefits to our services, unless it's just like a maintenance package to keep them there. So our qualifiers for that is we like to look for someone who's right outside of the 3-pack, because we know that we can easily get them results. So I would think about it like that, you know, is there anything that you know you specifically need to have them have in order to, you know, really get them awesome results? Because ultimately, that's what's going to close them. That's what's going to keep them paying month after month. It's a good question.
I thought this was another good one that more of a generic question, but I think it just applies to kind of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Was what is your number one tip for staying consistent and to not procrastinate? I'll kind of share a couple things that I've recently done, especially moving into the new year. Was I sort of looked at all the things that were distracting me first off, and I actually drew like a circle, like a pie on my whiteboard, and I wrote out all the different things that I was doing, and the bigger that pie was, the more I realized that I was spreading my workload thin. And I've had many conversations with Paul about this, is that it's easy to get distracted by a lot of other things. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So I kind of looked at all the things that I was doing, and I tried to minimize that circle and literally just have it be one or two things at most. So if you have a circle that looks like, you know, you've got a big pie with lots of different slices because you're trying to do Facebook ads, you're trying to do SEO, you're trying to go out and, you know, do all these different things at once, you're not going to get very far. You're going to kind of have limited results in all the different areas you're working on. So the other thing that I did is, in terms of distractions, I actually deleted Facebook off of my phone. I deleted Instagram. I know some of you out there are maybe using Reddit. That's a very common site where people spend a lot of time, so I deleted that. Anything that like I was spending time on that could be taking away from being more productive. I turn off email notifications on my phone. I used to be really bad about every time I get an email, I'd be like, ooh, I have to go look at it, you know. So I turn that off, so that way it's more of a, hey, I'll go check once in a while kind of thing, as opposed to just checking every single time I get an email. So those are some of the things that I've done that really help me stay more consistent. And then I think the other bigger thing is that realizing that, you know, nothing that you do online, whether or not it's, you know, going out and getting clients or building an agency, or whether or not you want to go do something else, it's all going to be a consistent effort where you're going to have to do a little bit each and every day that's going to eventually get you to where you want to be. It's not going to happen overnight. And there's nothing I will tell you, there is absolutely nothing that if you go and do something else, it's still going to be the same thing. You're still going to have to figure out, you know, if you think, oh, if I go do e-commerce, maybe I can do this faster, or I'm going to get the results easier. It's still going to take that consistent effort, you know? So, that would be my take on it.
Yeah, definitely. I would say also one thing that I do a lot, and I implemented this and it really helps out, and sometimes I forget to implement it, you know, if it's something where you need to remind yourself, oh yeah, you need to do that again. Like, that's okay. You know, everyone forgets and needs to be reminded of things. But one thing I started doing that was really helpful was I took my most draining task and I moved it to the end of the day, because like if I were to like start that task in the morning, I'd already be so sick of like the task or like working that I wouldn't get anything else done for the day, because I'd be like, that's done with, like whatever. So I just move it to the end of the day. That way I can focus throughout the whole day, and then just once per day I'm going to do that draining task. So let's say, for example, it's checking your email. Like maybe you have a bunch of clients who are emailing you, and if you check your email all throughout the day, it's like you're constantly putting out fires all day long, right? Like client says, oh, my WordPress website has this thing that needs to be fixed. So yeah, it might only take you 2 minutes to fix it, but if you're stopping in the middle of the day and you're getting distracted from what you're doing to fix this like one thing on the WordPress site, like you're just constantly like putting out fires all day long. So just move that to like your end of your day. You know, decide how long it takes you to finish it. Maybe it's an hour. You know, put it at like 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whenever you decide you're going to quit work, and do it an hour before that so that you can do it that way. I see someone says, are we answering questions that are in the comments? Yep, we are going through right now on this live stream, and we're trying to answer them. Depending on when you're watching it. If you're watching it somewhere else or whatever, then maybe it's not, you know, live, but we'll still be looking at the comments. So definitely drop a comment, and we will definitely look at the comments and answer questions in there.
Yeah, he actually had one of his questions here. I think one of his first ones was, how do you start making money with SEO? So that's a pretty good question.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll answer how I started, and then you can chime in. When I first got started with SEO, I looked at, how are people making money with it? How is that an opportunity, right? So the thing that I liked was that there was an opportunity with local business. Like let's say the difference between a big national company that was trying to target, they needed traffic from all over the country, whereas a local business just needed traffic from their local area. They needed calls and opportunities from around the local area. So I went and said, why don't I help local businesses around me? And I went and found a local plumber, and I helped him with a website. And then after I finished his website, I offered to do some SEO services and was able to get him ranked in the top map pack. And that turned into a consistent income where he was able to pay me each and every month for, basically helping him show up in the Google Maps. So that would be my opinion on how you could probably make, a good amount of money. Both myself and Paul have a lot of training and stuff surrounding those topics as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, like the qualifying factor is definitely something you want to look into if you want to make money with SEO. Don't target someone who's already at the top, because they don't really need your help. Pick someone who's maybe just, like if you're going to just go for like the first page of Google, pick someone who's on page 2. Like maybe they're close to the first page. Pick someone there, or pick someone who's at the bottom of page 1 that you can help get ranked number 1, 2, or 3. And you're going to see a massive improvement. So, when it comes to making money with SEO, figure that out first and then go from there. Everything that you don't know, you can either learn. Number 1, there's just tons of ways to learn it. Or 2, you could do what John does a lot, which is outsource. I mean, John outsources the majority of things he does with his clients, whether it's backlinks, whether it's writing content. I also too, I outsource all of our content. I train VAs on how to do the websites. We just do them on WordPress, but still, you could train people, put people into place to do that stuff. Or you can find people who already know how to do it. Like John has tons of providers that he recommends that already do stuff, and he doesn't have to train them. He just finds a client who needs his help, and then he goes and he says, okay, here, you need backlinks. So I'm going to pair you with someone who does backlinks, and he's just kind of like, you're like the middleman basically, right?
Yep. Yeah, someone actually asked a really good question, because we're on topic, was which platform is good for outsourcing services, especially SEO? So I'll give one of my recommendations that I've used. I've spent, several thousands of dollars with them, is a company called The Hoth. They've been around for a very long time, fairly reputable company. I've used them for, very specific services, right? So there was a situation with many of my clients that I ran into. I'll give you an example. Was when it comes to ranking in the local SEO map pack, I found that there was a circumstance many times where a lot of businesses just had poor consistency with their name, address, and phone number. And usually that's a lot of work. to, kind of put that together and fix all of that as a problem, right? It takes a lot of energy to go out there and figure out like what sites have issues, how can I, get all of this squared away, and they have a service that you can pay for. They'll go out and fix like up to over 80%. I think it's like 80 to 90% of the listings. They'll get all of that stuff squared away, and you just pay one fee. And I used that many times with a lot of success with them. So that was like an example service I might use them for.
Yeah, that's a really good example. I like that. Someone asked a really good question I think we should address is how do we start up a conversation with a client? Like what's the best way to like introduce yourself and get them interested?
I just take, like when I do it, I just kind of take like an honest approach of, here's kind of what's going on with your business, right? And I'm usually doing these with those pay it forward videos I talked about a little bit earlier, where I might just go out and I kind of introduce myself and say, hey, I'm local in the area. My name's John. I do marketing for a living, kind of letting them know like who I am and then what I'm going to be talking about, which basically is, hey, I'm going to spend a little bit of time going through your website and giving you some opinions on where you're at in terms of your digital marketing. And a lot of times I've had people, like if I were to say that to someone in person and say, hey, like I'm a marketer, I'm going to help you and I want to tell you more about this, like they probably are going to shut you down. But if I offer for people to like put together a video and actually do something where it's going to show them a little bit more about what's going on, usually they're much more open to it. And after they've actually taken the time to watch that, then the opportunity for them to start a conversation with you is going to be much greater, where you could move into, hey, this is what I do. Like I could build you a newer website. I could, get you showing up higher in Google. Maybe I could run ads for you, whatever that is. It just becomes a lot easier after you've started some kind of conversation and shown that, you're a little bit of an authority, you know what you're talking about. And then of course I like to just be very honest in my approach. So like if they have something good on their website, like I'll actually talk about that, right? I'm not going to just be like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. I'm going to go through and be like, I really like that I was able to find this about page. It's got a photo of you and your whole team, things that like could really stand out. And then at the same time, maybe pointing out some of the things that are wrong and that could use some help.
Yeah, I'll give you guys an easy tip too that I remember from when I first started was the number one thing that people would ask when I'd meet new people, like even like just going to the dentist, for example. Like I remember this one really, really vividly because it was one of my first like clients that paid me a lot of money. Was I went into the dentist and they asked, what do you do for a living, right? That's the number one question that people will normally ask you when you're first meeting them. And that's when you can say, I'm self-employed actually. That's going to trigger them to be curious because everyone wants to like work for themselves or wants to like work from home. You could just be like, I work from home for myself actually. And they're going to be like, well, what do you do? Like, well, I work with clients. I help them get more customers. And then that's going to draw out questions, right? Especially if they are a business owner themselves, like a dentist, for example. They're going to be like, oh, wow, well, how do you do that? And then that's when you can kind of get into it. Well, we rank people in Google or we run Facebook ads for them or whatever it is that you do, right? We do social media marketing. It could be any of those things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the results that you help people get more clients or more business. So you can lead into it like that, sparks up a conversation, you build rapport with them, and their curiosity will get the best of them. They'll want to know more. And boom, now you can start explaining to them in a non-salesy way. It's just through conversation. So I've landed so many clients like that, especially when I first started off, and it constantly comes up. Like even to this day, it constantly comes up. People will ask what I do, and a lot of times you struggle with how to answer that, but that's probably the best way to answer it is a result-based approach. I see someone asked a really good question about, what's the best way to have a client pay you, and when do they pay you, and what if they don't pay you? And he's using SEO as an example. So first I'll say we collect the first month up front, so there is no what if they don't pay you. They've already paid. As far as how to get them to pay, I mean, however you want. Have them write you a check, have them give you cash, have them pay you by PayPal. Stripe is a credit card processor that pretty much anyone can sign up for. Authorize.net. Those are just some of my favorites.
Yeah, you could use, mainly I would get some kind of invoicing software. Some of the popular ones, I think Wave Apps is one that's free and they just take a small percentage. I use one called Billy App. And there's also FreshBooks is another one that's really good. And there's probably many others out there, but those will allow you to send out like an invoice. I know I even use one that Paul suggested. I think it's Zoho Invoicing.
Yeah.
That's another one. So there's a lot of invoicing tools, but you could use that to create like kind of a nice professional invoice, and then that allows you to track how much revenue you're actually generating, and it could also automatically resend the invoices each and every month. I have a client right now that we have them on an auto billing with one of these softwares, and every month on like the 15th, it just sends him an invoice, and then it automatically withdraws from his credit card. That definitely has been, I know someone asked, in that same question, what happens when they don't pay? Usually it comes down to you may be in a situation where you have to chase them down, and I highly recommend getting them on something where the payments are just going to go through every month. You could use PayPal for that. There are some invoicing tools. I think you can set it up so it comes out of their bank account. But that's going to be a better opportunity, and that way you're not like calling them up and being like, hey, you haven't paid this invoice, it's been a week, and you're not spending your time chasing them. So I highly, highly recommend doing that if that's a problem for you.
Yeah, definitely. Another good question I think we should probably answer here, coming in from Noki, says, how does SEO work? And I think that's a good one, because I think maybe a lot of people who are new don't know what SEO is or how it works. So SEO is search engine optimization. It's basically the process of getting someone to show up in Google. So like if you go in there and type in pizza, your job is to make that company you work with, the pizza company, show up either on the first page, or ideally in the top 3 positions is ideal, but anywhere on the first page is going to get them traffic, because Google is the largest search engine and it drives tons and tons of free traffic when you get someone ranked there. So basically business owners pay you to get people ranked there, and the way it works is you can do a specific set of optimization practices. That's why it's called SEO, search engine optimization. And things that we do for optimization are, we might make some changes to the website. So we might add keywords in, like if they're a pizza restaurant, we might type in like pizza city and add that into the website. We might add in like content around it. We might do backlinks. A backlink is when another website has a link on it pointing back to your website or your client's website. So like let's say CNN, for example, writes an article about the best pizza in New York. At the end of that article, they might be like, check out Bob's Pizza. This is the best pizza in New York, and they link back to the website. Google would consider that kind of like a vote. It's kind of like, oh, this is a sign that this could be one of the best pizza restaurants in New York. We should rank them higher. So that's what SEO is. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, John, or...
I think you nailed it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell.
I see another good one. I thought this was kind of related to some of the stuff we've been doing, is where do you find your virtual assistants?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I thought I'd answer. When I first started with this, I'll just give a little context, because I know for some of you, depending on where you're at in your business, I was afraid to like let go of doing a lot of stuff myself. And I actually ended up, I did this small business where I just needed to have a lot of articles written at one point, and it was literally impossible for me to do all of the work on my own, right? Like there was just no way I was able to do all of it by myself. So basically what it comes down to is, just before I answer this part of the question, I think you should, spend the time to figure out things that you could outsource in your business. Maybe you're like getting flooded with emails and you need someone to handle some of that for you. You could hire someone to do some of that stuff, right? So don't be afraid to outsource. But when it comes to platforms, I really like Upwork. That's the place that I'm probably most familiar with, that I've used. There are a few other sites that you could use. There's freelancer.com, guru.com. I actually have spoken with the owner of another one called FreeUp. That is another place you could hire people. And then if you're looking for something a little more specific, I know that there's actual services out there that offer like freelance type services. Chris Ducker is someone that runs like a huge agency that just employs, virtual assistants. So if you needed something more specific or a full team, it might be better going with someone more specialized like him.
Yeah, the main one I use is Upwork as well. And then when you find someone, you can actually get them to help you find outsources as well. Like if you find someone in the Philippines on Upwork, you could have them post on Craigslist and have them help you find even more outsources. That's what we do a lot of times. I don't know how many more you want to answer here. We are at about 30 minutes, John.
Yeah, we could probably wrap it up here.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I know we wanted to keep this at about 20 or 30 minutes, so we do appreciate you guys coming on with us today. I hope that you got a lot of value out of it. Maybe we'll do another one of these soon and answer more in the future. But if you did get a lot of value out of it, make sure you smash that like button. Leave any comments below for us if you have anything. After this is over, I'm sure we'll be going through the comments and checking it out and seeing what you guys have to say. But yeah, I'm Paul James, John Shea with me over here, and we'll catch you guys later.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.